Hey, welcome back. In this episode, I will be defoliating this maple and styling it for the first time. This is a Japanese maple of an unknown variety, which is small leaf variety that I obtained as a very small seedling 5 years ago perhaps, and it's been grown in a pot ever since. It's developing slowly, but it's I think it's part of the process in doing bonsai and becoming a bonsai practitioner to derive joy from having trees in pots, and even if they develop slower. Now, of course, this cannot survive in the harsh winter conditions of Montreal. So by defoliating now, when the leaves are starting to show, let me see in the light here, when the tips of the leaves are starting to show that the tree took all it need of the resources that were still in the leaves, such as chlorophyll and metals and other nutrients. But the tree is still active, and any bends, any cuts that I will perform now will be compartmentalized. So this tree will be ready to grow in the spring, being a maple, which is a high water mobility tree, before suffering from excessive loss of sap from the ones that I will create today. So I'm doing this in Montreal because this tree is in my cold greenhouse. It's being stored at 3 degrees. But if this is not the conditions are not such that in your area where you can prevent it from freezing, then this is too late to be performing these operations. So just defoliating it. And this tree was never also subjected to hedge pruning, but it will next year. However, it already has, from past growth, plenty of branches and branchlets to select from and to give it an initial structure, so that in the future with hedge pruning we will only increase the amount of ramification that will then contribute at this time of the year for branch selection and structural setting or styling for the next year. So this is something that I will perform on the maples that did undergo hedge pruning during the year, but this will be in another video. So now we finished defoliating this tree. It's really sad to throw away all these beautiful leaves, but here they go. I'm working in my living room now, and this will be my working area for the winter. It's an experiment, this position here. I don't know if the lighting is good or too bad. I hope we'll see. So just to recap a few things about winter storage: do not remove the moss that you work so hard and that is so important in the pot in the winter. So now let's look at this tree. My front for this tree is more or less there. It has sort of a hole between these two main the separation that creates the nebari, and then it comes up and away. And the guiding principles that I want to follow in my styling of these and other trees, and I will return to this subject in other videos, is that these are two principles: natural lines and sustainable design. So what do I mean by natural lines? Well, lines that have curves and movement that doesn't feel artificial, so it's harmonious with the trunk or with the existing movement, and that will depend if it's a Yamadori with crazy movement or if it's a more well-behaved tree. But also natural lines. And the second concept is that of sustainable design. And by sustainable design I mean a number of things. First of all, I mean that every branch that is left and every growth that continues here is something that is photosynthetically well placed. So all areas, there are no areas that are shaded by other branches. Also removing structural flaws that will come to a moment to speak about in a moment. But sustainable design is also thinking of how can you let the tree grow, and in the future, as the tree grows, evolve the design to in a different direction given the new possibilities due to new growth, or replacing branches with internal branches. Let's say here, at some point this is no longer necessary, and then this will take over this little branchlet here. For example, for now it's a secondary branch or a tertiary one you could consider, but one day maybe the primary, this tertiary branch may be upgraded to a secondary branch, and what was the secondary branch will be cut, and this will take its place. So in that way the tree can continue growing while a certain image, a certain style can be maintained without having to do the old-fashioned and wrong way of dealing with the tree, which is stunting its growth, not letting it grow. So if you want to have a healthy tree, you have to let it grow, and you have to adapt your styling and your techniques to that, and not the other way around. So this tree now we will make some decisions, and let me give you a 360 of this tree. So right off the bat, I'm thinking of cutting this here and removing all of this, because this would improve taper, this will create movement, or maybe actually I will leave this one as a leaf. This will fill this area here, and from here we will create a new leader and a side branch, and let me point out what a beautiful branch I have here. This one here. Alright, with nice movement, nice ramification. And so the first, as Ryan Neal says, the most important part is pruning correctly your tree. So we'll do that. I just need to go get another tool that I forgot. I'm back now, and like I said, this is too thick and is not contributing to creating taper. And one more point with respect to sustainable design is that this tree will grow slowly, as it does because it's in a small pot, but it gives me pleasure every day seeing it in a pot more than it would be in a large grow container or in the ground if that was possible. But it will grow, and as it grows, then the style will change. Maybe it will become bigger, because right now for this trunk this is too big and unsightly. But one day, if this trunk is twice as thick, maybe it can be a little bigger. So for now, we will cut the branch, this main branch here, and transition to here. And I want to make a cut that is as close as possible to this area here, but I don't want to harm the tissue around here. So it's very important that you use the tool correctly. This is a small concave cutter, but if I simply cut like this, as the cutting edge here becomes thicker, as you go away from the sharp edge, it will compress the tissue and it will cause harm here. So the correct way to cut is not like this, but with the tip reaching the point where this branch is. So in fact, in this case, the correct way to cut is like so that the point of the edge of the branch that most approaches this branch that I want to keep is the thinnest part. So let's cut it. And as you can see, I left a bit of maybe a millimeter or so, and I didn't touch what you can see, the line, which is the color here. So this should be okay. There should be no dieback past this point on the inside, because it's on the collar, and at the same time, so as you can see, it's not bleeding now. This tree is almost dormant, and this is exactly what we wanted. This could be a nice tree on its own, but I don't know if it at this time of the year I cannot do anything, so it's a pity to throw it, but we'll have more chances other times of the year. So this was our first cut, and as I remind you, this is sort of the front with this planting angle, because it's sort of leaning on the back and then going forward. But this could change in the future. I just want to make sure that it looks like a deciduous tree. And so I will choose a new leader for this tree. But first, let's deal with this area here. I really like this, as I mentioned, but this here, it's too big. Here I left two internodes. Here. I left two internodes to differentiate from here, or maybe I'll leave one internode. And I'm leaving some space for the dieback. And afterwards in the future I can just cut this. For example, here we have a stump. Can it be seen? Here we have a stump from past pruning, and now I can remove it now that it has been properly compartmentalized, but again with the thin edge of my tool towards the area that I want to cause less damage. There are a number of areas here that I have so afterwards we will look at it from the top and study the position of the branches. Again, here this long branch here is not what I want, and I have a beginning of a small branchlet here. So we cut there. This will have to decide what to do, if they stay or not. I have some interesting branches going everywhere, but these ones here, if these two are wired, they will shade this one, and I feel that this one is more important than this because we already have this. So I will actually remove in its entirety this branch. And we have two small ones here. This one is growing too close to the crotch, and this one too. I feel that we don't need them. We'll remove them. And so we'll also do. So we have a question here about keeping what as a leader. I want to perhaps I'll keep this one. Let's shorten this. I will probably bring this one down here, although it would be shading this that I quite like. So I think shading here. If I keep one of this one as a leader, I'm bringing the main apex. Now this will be something like this, asymmetric, but if I keep this, I'm bringing it towards the center, whereas if I keep one of these and I shorten this, I could be increasing the degree of asymmetry here. That would be quite nice. So in fact, what I will do is cut this short here and let this one carry over next year. And carrying carrying over the degree of asymmetry here. So we have two, and then here we can have also 2. And we'll have a very asymmetric tree that looks older and not young. So these 2 will be the leaders. I will keep both of them, but at different heights and going up. And hopefully I'll have ramification from here. So I'll keep the thick one shorter and the thin one longer. So that we increase the tapering everywhere. Here I got quite a bit of very small internodes that I'm very happy with. Here we have something growing in towards the inside. I don't care so much as long as it's photosynthetically functional. But this one here has to be shortened, and it will be brought down here so it doesn't compete with the apex. And this one here, I think we will shorten actually closer here. We'll remove this and cut. So again, this edge of my concave cutter is what gets closer to the branch that I want to keep, whereas this end here goes on the side that there is nothing. That way you cause least damage where you want to maintain the tissue. So for now, everything seems photosynthetically well placed. And natural. This one here needs shortening and this one needs lowering a little bit. I could use a guy wire instead of wiring the tree. Maybe I'll put a little bit of wire. Doesn't really. Shocking. A tree that doesn't need really don't like that. I don't like the cutting profile of the concave cut, but I don't have a spherical concave cutter that is so small. So right now, actually I will simply cut here to bring more ramification, and this is okay. It's going sort of sideways and up, which is what the Sigus tree does. And this is taking a symmetry to that side. So shockingly enough, although I had a wire here, I don't think I actually need to wire this tree. It looks beautiful as it is. It's set up for growth next spring. And as it evolves, it will become, the apex will become larger here, in, out, in, out, in, and has some depth also. So this was a very easy tree to style today. We actually didn't have to wire it, so it could be considered as clip and grow. But clip and grow is a major technique with deciduous trees once you set the the structure. This tree looks now like a tree in the environment. At least the ones that are middle-aged, not very old yet, here in Montreal. I really like this movement, slanting to the side and then coming back with a new leader here. I must admit that it happened by chance. Everything is out and up. Naturally, some branches are bending down. This is totally natural, and I'm quite happy with the results. I think it's a beautiful tree that is set up for a successful growing season next spring. And like I said, the two concepts are natural lines and sustainable design. I didn't have to wire it, but I may in the future. And next year this will be treated with the hedge pruning method, and you will follow that. So thank you for watching, and until the next time, please subscribe and share. Your support is really appreciated and keeps me going, breaking taboos and educating people to the best of my knowledge with the techniques that I learned from Ryan Neal in Bonsai Mirai and Walter Paul. There's a lot of misconceptions, and I'm giving here, to the best of my knowledge, up-to-date modern bonsai techniques and aesthetics, and I hope you're enjoying. Until the next one, bye bye now.